All right, hello and welcome to this President and Provost Forum. My name is Alex Kern. I'm the president of SGA, and we are joined here by President Alan Cram, Provost Peter Kilpatrick, Dean of Students Catherine Stetz, and Vice President of Enrollment Mike Gauze, among others. We are very excited to be here and get some answers to some of your questions about a variety of topics ranging from Illinois Tech's recycling program to spring break. We will be answering questions that were submitted before this town hall and then move into questions submitted live throughout this town hall at the end. But before we get into the questions that were submitted, we are going to take some opening remarks from President Graham.
Hello, everyone. It's been quite a year. I mean, as we look at this and we look at what's happening in Chicago and Illinois, we can be really proud of the fact that the amount of positivity we see in our campus is significantly less than the surrounding areas. And I think that's because all of you have done a really good job, those in housing and those coming in here to go to classes or labs, etc., in making sure that you followed all of the protocols that we've discussed all year. So I'd like to thank all of the student body, the faculty and staff, and everyone who've done that, because it really is amazing where we are as a community compared to what's happening all around. I've no idea how this is going to go going into the rest of the year. Hopefully, we start to see the curve, stopping its continuous growth and start to go back down. But we just have to live with it as it is. But I know that all of you will actually be very thoughtful of everyone else and wear your masks and wash your hands and make sure you're not in gatherings that are bigger than a certain number, and as we've been doing the whole time. So again, thanks everyone for doing that. The university is in a good position. We have a great management team, and our head of advancement, Ernie Eisenminger, has done a great job. And actually, we are now going to announce our very large campaign very soon. And it's because of the great work of our advancement. And this money that you see being talked about as fundraising is doing specific things. This year you saw Kasich Hall being opened. Next year, Cunningham Hall will be opened. So 2 new student life facilities, brand new, all funded to the university by philanthropy. And as you look across the campus, you see the Kaplan Institute, another philanthropic building actually funded by our friends and our alumni. I just wanted to mention that all of you will be alumni at some time, but we have many of our alumni giving back to make sure that the university continues to move forward, to make sure that we have all of the facilities necessary for you to have an excellent education. I know at this time many people are online because they have to be, but hopefully if the vaccines prove as efficacious as it seems to be, from the initial trials, 94% in Moderna is amazing. That hopefully maybe in the spring we'll start getting back to some sort of normalcy. And my hope is that by next fall we're back to being fully normal. But we'll wait and have to see, because I know there's a lot of people have to be able to get the vaccine and take the vaccine for that to happen. Anyway, I just wanted to say that congratulations to all of you. And now we'll open up for questions.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate those opening remarks. And yeah, we'll just get right into the questions here. So the first question we have is about the pass-fail policy. The first question is, will graduate courses be pass-fail or have the option to be pass-fail this semester?
I think Provost Kilpatrick will answer that question.
Yeah, so I was very, very pleased when the Student Government Association, SGA, the PSAC, the University Faculty Council, and the Office of the Provost all came together this last week to approve the pass-fail policy that we adopted for the university this fall. It was a momentous movement because I paid close attention to the other AITU schools in our that are similar to us across the country, and very few universities are implementing a pass-fail policy. So we're a little bit in the vanguard about doing that. So far, we've had about 140 appeals for pass-fail, but no, we had not intended to allow the pass-fail for graduate students, because I've heard very few concerns from graduate students that they're struggling with the classes and that they're experiencing the same kind of mental distress that that the undergraduates are experiencing. And the other thing I would say is when you're in a one-year graduate program and you take a whole semester of pass-fail, that pretty much kind of nukes your GPA. So we didn't think it was appropriate. We haven't heard a lot of concern from graduate students about pass-fail. We are offering pass-fail to students that are in the co-terminal program. So if you're an undergraduate here and you're staying on to do your master's degree, we did offer it there. And then the other thing I would say, if there's any specific course that a graduate student has a really specific concern about, they can always avail themselves of a special appeal on that particular course. But the short answer to your question is no, we were not planning on allowing graduate courses to be pass-fail other than for co-terminal students.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so our next question here is, some universities, such as the University of Washington, are letting students choose classes to be graded as pass-fail on a course-by-course basis. Would IIT be open to a similar option?
I think that's Provost Kilpatrick again.
Yeah, no, there was as you know, Alex, there was a wide discussion about this in the University Faculty Council, and the UFC felt strongly that the courses should either be, pass-fail should either be all opt-in or all opt-out. But again, if there is a very specific course that a student has a very specific concern about, for whatever reason, they can always avail themselves of the special appeal that's always been available. But no, we were not planning on allowing specific, letting students choose which courses were pass-fail and which were not.
Yes, and in reading that question, I do remember it was discussed in the University Faculty Council meeting. So yeah, thank you for answering that one. All right, our next question has to deal with COVID. So this question is, I have personally felt the effects of the broken contact tracing process, i.e. relying on a sick person to relay information to contacts because they were still awaiting their test results. No staff following up with direct contacts, refusing to test those without symptoms, even if they were roommates with those with symptoms. Staffing rude to students who may have had contact with a sick person about quarantining, even though information was never properly given. Do you acknowledge these issues and intend to fix them?
I think Mike Oz and perhaps Katie will have comments on this.
Katie, I can certainly begin. Well, first of all, it pains me when if I hear, that a staff member is ever rude to, a student. So I want to learn, more about that to better understand what happened so that it can be rectified. I would like to just, spend a moment talking about how contact tracing works. At Illinois Tech, we have a whole team that works on this. It's led by Julia Arnott-Burns, and she's the lead contact tracer for the university. She works for Vice President Watts, and is part of also our crisis management team with the university. So she's working with a team of staff members in human resources and also the Student Health and Wellness Center. And when they learn of a positive case, they reach out to that person. They have reports available to them and ask the person, about close contacts. So one thing that happens is the positive person needs to self-isolate. That typically, if the person is living on campus, it typically happens in an apartment style unit on campus with a private restroom. Close contacts are a little bit different in the sense that they have to what is called self-quarantine. And self-quarantine can happen. We have a nice relationship with the local Hilton, where many of our students are doing their self-quarantine in the hotel. Some students can do it on campus if they're already in, for example, a studio with a private bathroom. And sometimes students are off campus or they choose to self-quarantine at home with their parents. And so all of that happens. One of the things that, this is just a difficult thing is everybody across the nation, contact tracing is one of the kind of difficult things, to do. And I think they're doing a good job contacting, the people that need to be contacted. And if you don't hear from them, they have deemed that you don't need to be contacted. So that's the way it's working. One of the things that will help us, I think, greatly moving forward is last week the university received, it's called a CLIA certificate, which stands for, I'm not a scientist in this area, but Clinical Laboratory Improvement Amendment. And what it does is it enables us to use our rapid COVID-19 test with what's called the BioFire unit. And we're actually using that today to test some of our students who have been contact traced. The great thing about the BioFire unit is it's the turnaround time is 45 minutes. And so we're able to act upon cases now much quicker than the 2 to 3 day turnaround of some of the other PCR tests that are available. Those first, I explained a little bit about contact tracing, but then, the main thing I think that will really improve things is the BioFire unit.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And yeah, I've heard a little bit about that BioFire unit. And it's very exciting to have that on campus. And our next
Today's
question.
our first full day with the unit, so it's going full bore.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, so our next question is, do you plan on enhancing the testing capabilities next semester?
Well, I think Mike just answered some of that question, but I'll let him give any other answer if he wishes.
Yeah, I guess I kind of answered that question. We do want to continue, doing the random testing because I think that's really important to continuously monitor the health of our, community. The great thing is we're actually able to do that ourselves now. The last one was on Monday. Gary reported that the team tested over 170 people, which would be faculty, staff, students of our community in the right on campus with our own staff. And so I think that's really cool and it's just a great addition to what we're all doing. We're preparing to get ready if we have to test students again, like we did in the fall semester. And so we're going to be ready for that, but we haven't made that call yet. So, we're not exactly sure where the virus is going right now.
Okay, yeah, awesome, thank you. And then, yeah, you did kind of address parts of that question in the previous question, but I figured more information is better. So, okay. Our next questions have to do with meal plans. So first one is, please could the Hawk Unlimited meal plan stop being compulsory for first and second year students?
I think this is another question to Mike and Katie.
Yeah. Well, so let me first kind of explain how this works. So we're in a partnership with Chartwell's, and each year we engage in a new contract with Chartwell's, and so The new renewal will happen within the next month. We work with our CFO, Mike Horan. Katie's involved, and others involved. And I talked to the students, the SGA students, maybe about a month ago on this topic. And basically what I said we would do is in our negotiation with Chartwells, we're going to bring in, a lot more, survey data from our students, regarding what they want, and not just what Chartwells thinks they want. And so I do believe in flexibility for students, and we're going to try to, do our really very, very best to negotiate a new contract that does allow more flexibility in the choices for our students. So, without having gone through, the negotiation yet, I don't have any more information on this, but, except for saying I do want more flexibility.
I can add a couple things to that as well. I have been talking to Chartwells about improving the value and the flexibility in the plans so that this issue aside, this is a little bit different, but certainly something that Chartwells I think has been responsive to in the past. But also just with the current with the Talon 50 and with the 150, I've heard students' concerns about just the limited variety and the lack of perceived value. And so I've put that charge on Chartwell's plate to give us some options, or what are some things they can do to enhance those plans so that students feel like they're getting value. And maybe it's changed the plan, maybe it's changed the requirement, maybe it's add some things, but just know that those conversations are taking place. And this is the prime time for that, as Mike said, with the contract and as we move forward with an amendment or whatever. Like these things are very normal and perfect. So glad that we're asked to look into it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much. And actually, the next question asks specifically about the Talon 50 meal plan, if it could be restored, or if something like it could be restored, as the student says that there's they moving into a room with a kitchen, it's kind of defeats the purpose of that meal plan, because they can make their own food and they don't need as many meals. So I guess how confident are you guys in saying that could be something that happens in the future, like moving forward?
Well, we're definitely going to put it on the table, and I know, the negotiation will take place along with Chartwells and our CFO. So we have to, come up with a solution that works for, everybody. But, again, I'm for the flexibility, and I also asked, indicated to the students that we would review our policies, within our housing regarding, students in apartment style units with kitchens. So that's something we're doing right now.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you. I just I figured the same thing kind of happened there. You addressed some of the things in that question, so I figured
the questions are kind of in a way the same.
Yeah. So thank you though for answering. I appreciate it. So our next question has to do with financial aid, and it is: will tuition rates fall should classes be moved exclusively online?
We have no plans to move classes exclusively online to begin with, but for the whole semester, for example, next year, we've always had online offerings in this university that it was optional to the students. They could be in the online section, or they could be in class, and we don't set the rate by whether you're taking an online class or an in-person class. But the fact is that we have no plans to change tuition rates based on whether you're online or in other modalities.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. All right. So our next question, still within financial aid, why aren't study materials such as books, homework software not included in the students' tuition fees?
So I think we'll ask Mike Horan to talk about this.
And Mike, I'm also happy to chime in if you want me to.
Sure. I mean, I'll give you my take, Alex. The reason is with books and software, there are so many options on how people go about buying their books. They buy new, they buy used, they lease books. Every class schedule has a different set of requirements that are to it. If we were to put something in the tuition, it would probably be more something of a fixed fee type, which would be really take that flexibility out for students. So I think it would do more damage than good. And it would really be hard to put in place something that would fit everybody. And I think students would really be frustrated with it. I don't know, Peter, you can give your take.
Yeah, you gave a very similar answer to what I was going to give. The cost of books goes all the way from zero for open source books to it can be a couple $100 for a textbook. And so that variability is just enormous. And similarly for software, some courses require no software, some courses require very specific software. And so it just seems inappropriate to to put this into the tuition, which would just be a flat fee, and some students would be overcharged and some would be undercharged. So that's why we do it on the individual student and course level.
Awesome. All right, thank you. And with that question, we're going to move on to questions about like classes. So our first question with regards to classes is there a possibility for IIT to go fully online?
I think this is going to be answered by Professor Menhart, who's here with us. He's chair of the Faculty Council, and also by Peter.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose there's a possibility. You guys all see the numbers out there. We really don't know what's going to happen. I think the aim is to do kind of what we've done so far with a mix of courses live where appropriate. I know a number of students have expressed, dissatisfaction or some students are adapting to online well, some are not. And we want to provide flexibility. And especially there's a little bit of, we have some labs, students are a little behind. So, but sure, it's entirely possible that the pandemic gets a little bit more out of control and we might have to be flexible. And the university, as well as students and all of society has to be flexible for a few more months. That's where we are, guys, I think. Peter, what do you got?
Yeah, Alex, we're trying very hard to be in a position to deliver our education in whatever way we have to deliver it, given the conditions of the pandemic. And I'm very pleased to report that about 2 weeks ago, we implemented a new online teaching award that's student nominated. And we received over 200 nominations of 125 different faculty. It's really impressive to see how many faculty out there are just really doing an excellent job in online teaching and getting that recognition from their students. But yes, if we had to go completely online, we would. I doubt it would be for more than a 2 or 3 week period. And then we would go right back to in-person instruction. And why is that? Because many of our classes, many of our student learning outcomes cannot be delivered online. I mean, if you're taking a lab course in chemistry or biology or mechanical engineering, you can't learn that information. You can't learn it online. You have to be in the lab doing the experiment. Many iPros, many design studios just can't be done completely online. So there's no way we'll ever be a completely online university. We can't. And if the city or the state forced us to go fully online, it would probably just be for a short period of time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And kind of reading through the questions here, one I think is a good follow-up question to that is I think that question mostly applied for next semester, but looking forward to summer 2021 and fall 2021, do you expect that those semesters will be online as well, or what are your thoughts there?
I personally think the pandemic, we'll be in a position by summertime where we will have vaccinated enough people that we won't need to be online. Now, having said that, as Alan said, we'll always offer some element of online for people that need that. So sometimes people can't make it to campus for whatever reason. We've always had distance education for 50 years at Illinois Tech, 60 years, going back to the 60s when we implemented IITV. So there will always be an element of that, but we don't expect summer 21 and fall 21 to be online. We expect them to be closer to a normal academic semester than the last 2 semesters have been.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Our next question is, how do you ensure the quality of instruction, especially during this time online during COVID?
I think this is again, Nick and Peter.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I should share with the students that we do on occasion receive actionable concerns on the part of the students about particular courses or particular instructors in terms of their effectiveness in the classroom. And I can tell you that I've been personally involved in a number of these situations just over the last month with deans and chairs. So typically when information comes to me that there are some students that are concerned about the quality of instruction in a particular class, I usually have the courtesy of alerting the dean, and I ask the dean to please engage with the chairperson and the instructor. And I feel pretty good that in a large number of these cases, we've been able to intervene in a way that has satisfied most of the students. Occasionally, we have, and I could give you some specific examples, not naming names, but of situations. So, instructors that largely did their online courses asynchronously rather than synchronously, we intervened and made sure that that was corrected. Or instructors who taught online classes and maybe didn't wear their face covering completely properly, we intervened and that was addressed. But whenever I have actionable information, I'm always willing to work with the dean, work with the chair, work with the faculty to see if we can't address it.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so our next question is, will GPA requirements be waived for review for the accelerated master's program? Personally, I've had 6 of my credits counted as pass instead of an A as a result of the academic COVID policies. This puts more pressure on students to succeed in the final semester or 2 while still taking online classes.
Yeah, certainly I don't want to speak for the directors of the AMP programs in the individual departments, but I do know that instructors and departments are very sensitive to the unique circumstances that we've been dealing with, since COVID started back in February and March of this year. So I would encourage those students who are concerned about pass, fail, and qualifying for the AMP to go to their advisor, to speak with the individual faculty members, to express their concern, and to see if some accommodation can be made. What I would say is pass, fail really doesn't affect your GPA, but I do understand that if you take a pass, fail semester, you have fewer courses to raise your GPA if you need to raise it above some standard. But again, I do think our advisors and our program directors have been pretty understanding about particular situations. And so if the student has been showing improvement in bringing their GPA up over the last several semesters, and they had that one pass-fail semester, leniency might be shown. But again, I think that's an advisor and program director question. Nick, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think that, all of us, everybody on this call, I think has a lot of higher education. We're all believers in that. All faculty are strong believers in the value of education. That's the industry we're in. And the number one concern is really, is this the right program for you and can you be successful? And getting you there. We're in the business of getting people there. So just work with faculty. We would like all our students to go into a co-term or an advanced degree, or go on to a very successful career. That's why we're here. All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. Absolutely. Okay, so our next question, is there anything that can be done about the fall and spring only classes, given the unpredictable and difficult circumstance that COVID has brought and will most likely continue to bring? Students have had to withdraw from classes due to difficult circumstances that weren't able to be anticipated beforehand. With fall and spring only classes, doing bad in a class / having to drop a class automatically extends graduation because of having to wait a year just to take the same class again, and the chain of classes that follows gets pushed back. Especially for aerospace engineering as an example, where I've noticed that the lists for spring and fall classes, spring and fall only classes, are a lot longer than other majors. So if we have to drop a class or did bad this semester, given circumstances that have risen beyond our control, we'd have to delay graduation by a year because the chain of classes that follows gets pushed back as well, since we have to wait until a year later.
So I'll jump in there, and then maybe Nick can also contribute on this. What I would say is it has come up in conversation that given that we do have spring only classes and fall only classes, it would be good that we offer more classes in the summer to allow students to catch up. So students that either missed a class or maybe performed poorly in a class or had to withdraw from a class, and then they don't want to get a year out of cycle. One way to do that is to offer many more classes in the summer. Another option that we're exploring is creating what we're calling master classes online. So doing an online class that can be taken at any time. It can be taken during the course of a semester. It can be taken in the summer. It can be taken in conjunction with consultation with the faculty member. So those are a couple of things that we're looking at because we're sensitive to this issue that this has been a rough year, and students have unfortunately been set back in their program of studies. And I would say one of our goals as an institution is to raise our graduation rate. So increase our 6-year graduation rate. And one way to do that is to get away from only offering spring and fall only classes, but creating other opportunities. I guess another one I should mention is the J term. We started offering a number of courses in the J term between the end of the fall semester and the beginning of the spring semester. Nick, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think we've seen, I've seen recently a lot more student initiatives taking more an involvement in your education. I think that's really terrific, getting involved. And if a bunch of students get together and I have 15 students that really want to take this class, that's a pretty convincing argument in the scheduling process. What I think SGA needs to appreciate, and students need to appreciate in general, is that the fall scheduling process actually started the first week in October. Okay, happened a long time ago, and you just think we're a large organization. As you guys get out there and work into large organizations, things do take time. We need to, not that things can't happen quickly, but we need to get this information in a timely fashion and really try to move on it a little bit more quickly. And frankly, there's finite instructors. You guys want to talk about quality of instruction, and quality of instruction doesn't happen when somebody's teaching, 3 or 4 classes that they got assigned at the last minute, right? So being, proactive on this, and I think that's really terrific, but really to sort of engage more. And one of the primary is with your program directors and with your advisors and any other faculty mentor you have. Engage with them and say, listen, we have a bunch of people that really need this class next semester. It might happen, right? So.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Thank you both for that. So our next question is, will the school ever get rid of virtual learning if and when the COVID period ends or is under control? Or will it be an open option for students to come in person or take online?
Well, I think we've had virtual learning for a long time. I mean, we started at one time with television classes from our school. That was a Motorola invention. You can see many of these things, and we moved into the online education with this. So I don't think we're getting rid of virtual learning because it's been with us for many, many years, and probably will become more virtual with the flipped classrooms, etc. But I'll let the Provost Kilpatrick and Professor Menhart answer that also.
Yeah, one thing I would like to take this opportunity to say, Alex, is when a student engages in a course online, they really need to engage in the course. I've heard reports from faculty that when they have a Zoom session or a Google Meet session, the gallery view is a sea of just black squares with names on them, and they can't see any faces and they can't hear their students. And that's a problem because, a very important part of a student's education is to engage in the class when they're in the classroom. And even if you're online in the classroom, you need to engage. You need to show your face. You need to talk to the faculty member, ask a question, nod your head if you're understanding it, shake your head if you're not understanding it. You need to engage. So we really need SGA to help us, help the students understand that engaging in your classes is a really important part of your education. And I think part of the distress that students are experiencing right now is sometimes they're not engaging in their classes. They're watching them as a recording, or they're a little black box with a name on it rather than engaging in the lecture. And so engagement, we have found, is probably the #1 ingredient in student success. If you're engaged, you succeed. If you're not engaged, you don't succeed. And so I don't think we'll ever get rid of virtual learning, but we're going to use this year as a learning year to try to make virtual and online learning better and better and better. And I think we've made some progress. We've taught a lot of faculty how to deliver courses online, but we still have a ways to go, both on the faculty side as well as on the student side. Nick?
Yeah, this is not going away. This is part of you guys. It's really amazing. This generation, you students are really part of a change in our culture. And this is, online education, as I said in many meetings, has been part of the future for the last couple of decades. Well, all of a sudden with COVID, the future is now. So the people who learn to be effective online, as well as being effective in reality, reality is not going away either. But you have to learn both things to have a good career. And you should consider, we talk about the soft skills in education. You're going to learn your differential equations and you're going to learn your thermodynamics or whatever. But you also need to learn how to communicate effectively, both in person and online. And if you do that, you're going to have a great career. And if you don't, you're going to have challenges, unless you want to be a lighthouse keeper, I suppose, which is, some days I'd like to go be a lighthouse keeper.
That would be good.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys for that. And our next question, I believe, is oh, here it is. Okay. Is there a way to review the duration of exam questions, i.e. the duration of the exam could be based on the number of questions and the time it takes a student to solve each question, since some questions may take longer to solve?
So that's a curious question, Alex, because one person can solve a 3-question exam in 10 minutes and another person can take 2 hours or 3 hours. And it's so individualized. So you know, when I make an exam, I try to do a 1 hour exam. I try to ask the number of questions that it would take me as the instructor 5 to 10 minutes to solve, because I know what I'm doing. And I think most of our faculty try hard to do this. They try to make the exam length appropriate for the vast majority of the students. But it would be impossible to customize this for every student. I mean, it's just because some people are very quick and some people are much more deliberate. Nick, do you want to add to that?
No.
I know you make a lot of exams.
I make exams, and I think the same thing. How long does it take? You want to, you know, you really want to look at where you are in the class distribution, and usually, you know, some significant cohort of the class is doing okay, and you want to compare yourself, because when you go out there to apply for a job, or you apply for graduate school, apply for anybody, it's you know, a competitive process, and people need to understand their strengths and weaknesses with regard to this. And timed exams are not the only metric. I think most classes have some timed exams, and they also have things like papers and assignments. And those are a function of how much effort you're willing to put in some cases. So it really is understanding where you are in relation to the class. And, you know, if the whole class doesn't get it, I've been in classes, I can even remember as a student, I've been in classes where the whole class did not finish an exam. Well, that's a different issue than if you don't finish an exam. Okay, so that's what I would suggest. And instructors are always even more interested in hearing from students directly. No one, without exception, I would always say people are way more interested in having some student take the time, or a group of students come and discuss with them the class, rather than, you know, filling out some survey and, oh, I got 3.4, I got 4.4 this year. So instructors are very happy in almost all cases, and I would say all cases, to discuss their classes.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. So our next question is about spring break. Can spring break be changed to how it was before originally?
The answer to that is no, because if we look at what's going on with the COVID crisis just now, it's difficult to know what we're going to do. I mean, the issue was, and it was discussed with the Faculty Council and the SGA, what was the best thing to do here rather than have everyone leave and come back. And we've seen all of the issues that happened during spring breaks in the previous spring break. So we decided that it was better not to have a spring break and have everyone here, but actually have days during the semester off for everyone to give them the equivalent time off, but not the equivalent of a whole week off. So we've been back and forth in this, and eventually actually the President's Advisory Council, the SGA, the Faculty Council all got together and agreed on what we're doing. So no, we're not be changing it back to how it was originally.
Awesome, thank you for that. And okay, yeah, for sure. And the next question is also on spring break. Is there a way to dedicate one full week for tests or midterm exams, only to avoid having conflicts instead of having different dates for midterm exams?
Peter, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that because we don't have a spring break, I do believe that faculty will adjust to the new schedule, and midterm exams will probably be that first week in March or thereabouts. I can certainly encourage the deans and chairpersons to try to create enough space in the calendar at that time of the semester to ensure that midterms are more or less occupying the entire week. Of course, it's difficult to force faculty to do anything specific with their class because they have an obligation to cover all the course material. But I can certainly encourage the deans and chairs to try to be considerate about when the midterms are. Nick, do you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, I'm always surprised in some cases that students, you know, really sometimes don't even know when their midterms are until the last minute. It happens, believe it or not. If there's a conflict, usually the exam dates are published right away. If there's a conflict, I've moved exams. I've talked to other faculty. We don't want students performing poorly on an exam because that puts you in a world of trouble. You have to, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have to, So if you have conflicts, bring them to the attention of your instructor very soon. Not oh, I have tomorrow I have 2 exams. Can you move it? I can't move an exam that's tomorrow. You get those at the beginning, reach out and do it. The other thing I'd say is the idea of a midterm exam doesn't fit all classes. Many classes have several midterm exams. When I first started teaching, I was thinking, what do we need all these exams for? And back in the day, I'd have a midterm and a final. Well, sometimes that doesn't work because you don't identify problems quickly enough. And now in a lot of my classes, I have like 3 semester exams. Some people have 2 semester exams, depending on the class, right? Having less frequent, lower stakes evaluations can help people understand where they are and fix problems earlier rather than one big midterm, right? Or just one, oh, we're going to have a class and nothing. We're just going to have a final exam. Well, you get the results of that. It's too late to do anything. So it becomes complicated in that fashion. But if there are conflicts, I encourage you to reach out. First week of classes, you get that syllabus. Look at all your exams, put them on your calendar. If you have a whole bunch of exams on one day, talk to one of your instructors and say, could we move that exam? And maybe it'll happen.
Yeah, one of the things, Alex, we're considering, and we've had conversations about this in academic council and dean's council, is how do we help our students succeed in their courses of study? And one of the ways to do that is to have more frequent assessments that are lower stakes, just as Professor Menhart is saying. Some people are really good test takers and some people aren't very good test takers. And, so I think it's helpful in classes if you have more frequent assessments that are lower stakes, because then you can botch one and still recover from it. But if you have one really high stake midterm and a final and that's it, and that's 80 or 90% of the grade, it's really hard to recover from a poor performance. So it's a good suggestion.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you both for that. And our next question is in regards to events on campus. Regarding organization event registration, ARCA IIT is trying to create weekly general body meetings for all master's level RMHC cohorts. When I go to iit.presidents.io, the form will not let me enter a value for host, and therefore I am unable to create the event. I also watched the how-to video here, and I noticed that I don't have an admin dashboard option in my pull-down menu. Please let me know how I may gain access to admin dashboard.
Katie, would you answer this, or Mike Gauze, one or the other?
Yeah, this one I can actually answer. I mean, actually, good news and bad news. I can't answer the question because it's quite detailed, but I did speak to our staff about this yesterday. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post 2 email addresses in the chat, so that this would be to April Welch and T. Wen. They both knew how to fix this. So if you please reach out to one of them or both, and they will help you on both the IIT issue and the presence issue. So I just put the reach out email addresses in the chat box.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. And yeah, for sure, we'll send those out and make sure people are aware.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, awesome. This is our next question. Is another one about events on campus regarding food catering for ARCA IIT GBMs. I have been made aware that I can use the organization's funds by using Buy It from my IIT portal, but when I try to use this feature, I receive an error message. I could be wrong, but I believe this is due to me not having access to use such funds. Please let me know the most appropriate steps for me to gain access to the Buy It feature as the ARCAIT treasurer.
Mike, are you going to answer this one?
Yeah, so I did it again. I read both questions, ahead of time, and it's my answer is the same for both. So the Buy It is the second question with, access. Both T and April can assist with that.
I would say also, Alex, that, and I'll put in the box on Buy It questions, you could reach out to Snow Rotowski, and she's the director of procurement.
Okay, that's who they would reach out to, Mike. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so
perfect.
I'll put her email address out there too for you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mikes.
Yes, thank you both. I really appreciate that. Okay, this next question is in regards to OCL. Who will be replacing Patrick Fina as head of campus life, and will the department be expanded so the job does not rest entirely on one person? Patrick Fina was overworked, and the new OCL head should at least have an assistant.
Mike, I think this is yours also.
Yeah. So I can address this. Yeah, thank you. So yes, I agree. And we actually this week have, posted a position for a new director of campus life. And I also, agree that, kind of moving forward, we want to do something a little bit different and, build a deeper bench in that area. And so, one of the things that we're doing is we're looking at all of the residential life positions like the hall directors, the Greek life coordinator, the campus life coordinator. We're forming one team. And so in a sense, you could imagine programming happening for student organizations, but also programming happening in housing, all from the same team. So by doing that, essentially the team can become stronger, and none of the functions hinge so much on just one individual. So I guess the short answer to the question is yes, we are replacing Patrick. We're going to do that immediately, and then we're going to really explore all ways to strengthen that team.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Okay, our next question is about recycling on campus. When will IIT start a real recycling program? The blue bins and the 4 slot bins around campus are fake and used only for appearances. The 4 slots are linked to only 2, maybe 3 trash cans. The recycled stuff is never sorted and never cleaned. And many times the janitorial staff will take all of the trash from the 4 slot bins and throw them away into the garbage cans. The blue bins in the classrooms and the dorms are taken away as trash. There is no recycling area for the stuff in the dorms as well.
I'll take that. This is Bruce Watts, Vice President for Facilities and Public Safety. If I could rephrase that assertion into a question, I would just take it as, please explain your recycling program. Because we do care deeply about the planet and sustainability, which is why our recycling program is the way it is. You see, if it were set up like an old school recycling program, which is very rules-based and places the onus upon the user, in this case, let's say the student, to very strictly place each thing in each respective bin that it goes into, then that system will fail. And it fails because, unfortunately, the majority of people don't get it right when they drop the things into the holes in the receptacles. So we took a step back and we used something that you've learned in your iPro courses called human-centered design. And we said, you know what, things are going to happen. Things are going to get commingled. So we went out to the marketplace and we hired a firm that provides a safety net for us. So the reason you don't necessarily see 4 receptacles under 4 holes in our recycling containers is that we organize things basically into 2 streams. One is the waste stream, which is garbage, which goes to the landfill because you can't recycle it. So there's a bin for that. And then the other is recycling, which is cardboard, it's plastic, etc. So the only thing that is important is that you get all the recycling together. It doesn't matter if you have the plastic in one pile and the cardboard in another pile. You can co-mingle recycled material. We then compact it here on campus, send it to our vendor, and they break it apart at their facility. So 2 streams, the stream to the landfill, the recycling stream, they both go to the same vendor. That vendor breaks apart the recycling. They send the waste stream to the landfill, but not before they've taken a look at the waste stream themselves and pulled any recyclables out of it that might have accidentally ended up in the waste stream. Because you see, they don't own landfills. So every pound of garbage that they put in the landfill costs them. So they want to reduce their costs. So they provide the safety net to pull recycling out of that waste stream. So if someone's in a hurry and they're running to class and they accidentally throw a piece of cardboard into the garbage slot, there's a pretty good chance it's still going to get recycled because it will go pulled out. Now, I'm not saying don't worry about where you throw stuff and just throw your pizza in with the paper recycling. It's still much easier on the process, and it saves the university more money if we do segregate things into recyclables and waste stream. But that's the reason that there aren't necessarily exactly 4 bins under 4 holes. There's a bin to collect the recyclable materials, and there's a separate bin for things that are going out to the landfill. Now, the 3rd stream is something that's not necessarily used by all of us, and that's the organic waste, which is mostly food waste, which is handled primarily at our food service locations. So behind the scenes in the commons, there are food scraps and food waste being separated out, and that's handled as organic waste, which then goes into various sustainable operations, including composting and those sorts of things. So there's a lot of thought that's gone into this. It used to be the old school way, which placed all the onus upon the person rushing to class and trying to figure out which hole to throw each piece in. And it took that onus off and provided us a safety net and let human-centered design and market forces control the success of our recycling program. The last thing I would say is that we shouldn't be deluded into thinking that recycling is limitless. There's a physical limit to how often things can be recycled. For instance, plastic water bottles. That's very limited as far as the life of a plastic water bottle as it goes through the recycling stream and how many times it can do that, which is why, just like with energy, the first step of any energy program should be reducing your energy consumption and getting as efficient as you can on energy. As someone said to Mike Horan and I in a meeting last week, you have to eat your energy efficiency vegetables before you get your renewable energy cookie, because you have to reduce the demand. We need to reduce the amount that we're throwing away. So our bottle filling stations are still working on campus. And I would encourage everyone to use a reusable water bottle and refill it at those filling stations so we can at least continue the great progress that we've made on campus with how few plastic water bottles are going into the recycling stream. So that's a quick overview. You're happy to contact myself or Kevin Gallagher, our Director of Facilities Operations. Kevin let me know that there's also a video available from our recycling and waste contractor that describes their whole recycling operation. And we'd be happy to share that. Thanks for the question.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the answer. That was very comprehensive, and it was a good explanation. I appreciated that. So it is 1:46. So if you guys would be open to answering, I think one more question. We have two remaining from the pre-submitted questions, but I'm gonna, if you guys are willing, could we ask one more question and then?
Yeah, let's take number 25 on housing.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. So this question is, I am a fifth-year student living in RV South, and I wanted to voice my concerns of not being allowed to have guests over in our apartment. With winter taking over, the semester getting tougher and things getting intense, as a human student population, we need support from our loved ones, and some of us need to especially be physically connected. For some of us, those people we need to connect with might not be IIT students, and they include our boyfriends/girlfriends, our siblings wanting to visit us, or friends, our friends that go to other universities, our alumni friends that graduated, our parents/other close family members visiting us, etc. I understand that these policies are created in response to COVID-19 and in efforts to protect our community, but in these tough months, this rule is contributing to deteriorating our mental health. I obviously can't speak for everyone. I especially don't think it is fair because students that do not live on campus can be allowed in while other non-IIT students aren't. People that happen to have their close friends/partners as IIT students get to be allowed to spend time together, while those who have non-IIT student guests aren't. In addition, some residence halls like RV have spacious areas, and we have the opportunity to hang out in safe spaces. Students that signed up to live here expect some kind of freedom/privacy, which for some of us includes having a diverse set of people over and getting a chance to share our homes with our loved ones while staying safe amidst the pandemic and our grueling semesters. In response to COVID-19 and creating a safe, fair, and comfortable community for everyone, I propose and urge to update this policy with residents allowed to have guests but satisfy stricter requirements like all guests need to be temperature screened before they are allowed in. No resident is allowed to have more than 2 or 3, maybe even 1 guest over. Roommates need to be okay with having people over, and other fair requirements. I really hope you understand my concern, and I hope you can voice it on behalf of me and others that share similar frustrations to whomever it may concern. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing your reasonable response.
I think, first of all, we understand the issue. And I hope that everyone understands this is new to us also. We've never gone through this process, nor did we think it would go on this long. When things started in March and started with some policies, we thought it would probably be over by summer and that would be it. And then we're into summer and now we're into the fall. And I understand. And yes, I will ask our people to look into how we might be able to allow this. Of course, the issue is how other people feel too. And we have to come up with a policy that will make sure that it works for you who want to have people over and the other people around, and ensures our community are safe. But we do understand. I know that Katie and Mike are looking into this and concerned about it. We do understand the issue of needing to be with other people. And your point is right. We have to come up with a mechanism whether we'll allow this. I don't think it's straightforward though, but I'm willing to have Mike and Katie work on this and come up with a policy that might allow this. But I think we have to think it through, as you have suggested. That there has to be requirements, and I think as long as we can get to the requirements and understand them and agree to them and have everyone agree to them, then this is possible. So thank you for your question. I found it very thoughtful, very thought-provoking for us. And I hope we can come up with something that makes sense for you and for everyone. And I hope you look at this as a reasonable response. Katie or Mike?
Alan, I think that was a perfect response. And I think, we need to, come up with a solution that really works for everybody. I don't know exactly what the solution is right now, but I look forward to working with Katie on this and others and the students.
And I
Go
agree.
ahead.
Thank you. I agree. I also just wanted to make sure that everyone understands. I know sometimes when we put rules in, it looks or sounds like we're stopping you from interacting with people, period. And that's just not true. I mean, we want to invite, we want to make sure that you have access to people. And so it's really the residence halls right now that we're focused on. It's not, I mean, in the campus in general, we're asking to be very thoughtful about people who come to campus, but we're really talking about the people's homes. And so to President Cram's point, just about being really thoughtful about how we let some people into someone's home where others don't want them in the home is going to be our main question. And we'll seek student feedback on that too, to make sure that we're hearing all different voices, but know that you can see you can leave campus, you can see your families and your loved ones in other places. And I know that's not exactly what you're asking, but just know that we support that, and we want you to be able to have that support mechanisms in place, and anything we can do to help, whether it's on campus or off campus, we're willing to do.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. And so unfortunately, we did not get to our live questions. It's 1:52, so I think we ought to wrap this up here. For those of you who did submit live questions, what I think I'll do is compile those and try and get you guys answers to those questions from the people who are on this call now. And we'll probably post those on ITSC or something like that. But with that being said, I just want to thank everybody here for answering these questions and being open to doing this. I know we really appreciate it. So thank you guys.
Thank you.